Hi. Happiness. I think if you asked most people, they would say that they want to be happy. So, happiness to me is a good North Star. It's something to aim for. But the issue with happiness is it seems to be externally directed, meaning you have some kind of event or you have some emotional response and you feel happy, which seems like it's fleeting, as opposed to, or similarly to work-life balance, which is fleeting. You're in between this. You're not working too hard. You're not slacking off too much, and you're balancing work-life. So I think that happiness is hard to quantify and to figure out a path towards. I think contentment is maybe more sustainable. And then I think there's something that's actually the secret sauce.
Is brought to you by Podman. At Podman, we help podcast hosts manage, market, and grow their podcasts. For more info, go to trypodman.com.
Welcome. You're tuned into the Happy AF Show, your weekly ticket to a world brimming with joy, energy, and positive vibes. Are you ready to dive into stories that uplift, strategies that empower, and tips that can transform your day from blah to brilliant? Every week, we bring you the most heartwarming, inspiring tales from people just like you who turned their can'ts into cans and their dreams into plans. Whether you're commuting, working out, or just lounging at home, the Happy AF Show is your go-to source for all things happy. Together, we'll explore the corners of happiness, from the simple pleasures of everyday life to the grand gestures that make life worth living. So buckle up, dear listeners, as we embark on this joyous journey. Get ready to laugh, learn, and maybe even shed a tear or two of joy. This is the Happy AF Show, hosted by Phil Gerbishak, ready to guide you through another incredible episode. Let's get Happy AF now. Let the show begin.
Hey everyone, today we're going to get to hear from Catherine Morgan with her awesome book, This Isn't Working. It was released a year ago, but guess what? It still isn't working. What's up, Catherine?
Hi, Phil. It still isn't working. There are millions of people going like this. This isn't working.
Yeah, way too many people. Way too many people. Well, we got some stats here that are pretty crazy. But before we talk about the stats, let's talk about our friend Elmo. Last week, he sends out basically a cry for help for other people, though. Like, hey, how are you? And people dumped on him. What the hell? We dumped on Elmo? Why did that happen?
Oh, I didn't look at it that way. I looked at it as Elmo was a safe place to say, Ack, I'm hurting. Ack, I'm in pain. Ack, this isn't, I can hardly get out of bed. I hate my job. I hate my life. I can't find my way forward. So almost like Elmo, we were confessing to Elmo or whispering in the ear of our best friend. And it was, as you said, an outpouring. 208 million views on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. And it was so, it broke the internet, but it was so important and such a pressure valve release situation that the president of the United States weighed in and responded to Elmo. Like, hello, we hit a nerve. And it was a very innocuous question. Hey, friends, it's Elmo. How's everybody doing? We're not doing that well. It's not working.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I like your way of looking at it. I think that's great to find a safe space that we can share with. It probably, we know that Elmo isn't real character, we know that it's a safe place. We know that probably Elmo's not going to fix anything, but to your point, release the pressure, get out of there. The pressure of, get this, as of the last CDC.gov and Household Pulse survey, 33.5% of people in September is experiencing anxiety or depression. So 1 in 3 of us, and Catherine, I will speak for myself and say, I've certainly suffered from depression. It's been a rough year, and we're not even a month in.
And we're just starting. By the way, that number has been frighteningly consistent for the past several years. And one would think that it would be going down because we are, quote unquote, coming out of the pandemic, which of course we're not, because half my client base had COVID over December. But whatever, we should be coming out, but we're not. And younger workers, I don't deal with kids, so I can't talk to that. But the 18 to 26-year-old age range is suffering even worse. Like, it's even higher in that age range.
What do we do?
What do we do? Well, to the Elmo thing, I think it's important. One of, Sesame Street's like, okay, what do we do with this? And they brought on some MDs, and we talked about the crisis of being able to get a therapist, even if you have means, and the people who are uninsured, and states that didn't, continue Medicaid. How do these people get help? Or how do you get help if you don't speak English as your first language? Or if you're in a group when you want somebody who's had your similar experience, like, that's a big nebulous hairball problem we can't really go into. But we can stop accepting fine as an answer, is something I'd like to suggest to people. When you ask someone, how are you? Really listen. And if they say fine and your spidey sense says they are totally not fine, ask the other question. Well, really, you don't seem like yourself. Is something going on? And then wait, because it can be hard for somebody to share and to say, not everybody's like emotionally, I'll share you with the world. A lot of people keep it close. But if you know somebody well, and you and I have had these conversations with each other over the decade, I'm like, dude, I know your tells, something's going on. Or you'll say, Catherine, haven't heard from you for a while. What's going on? So if you have those friends, make that extra effort. Don't accept fine. And I don't think you should do it in a business situation either. If you see a colleague struggling, hey, looks like you could use some help. What can I do? What can I take off your plate? Can I buy you lunch? Can I bring you lunch because you can't leave your desk? Can I jump on a Zoom call? Do you need to vent? Like, I think this Elmo thing maybe brought it front and center that we need to do more, and we can do more.
I think you're right. I think doing more is super key. With that, doing more, I think being specific about what you're able to do, I think, is a great way to help. I know that we were in the middle of COVID when my wife and I were in the middle of that. Raul Colon did a nice job of saying, okay, I'm going to send you a care package. He sent it from Puerto Rico, mind you, ordered via Instacart or something like that at Target. So they delivered it right to us. Here's some Epsom salts, here's some tea, here's some other things, that just some creature comforts, to make us feel better. And I didn't ask for that, but I'm super grateful for Raul and for his wonderful wife, Lucy, and Daniela, their daughter. But how do we know what people need when they just say fine? And then if we push a little bit, they kind of push back and they don't actually come forth and share that, Catherine. What can we do?
Well, like Raul did, you can take a guess. You might not have even thought to ask for Epsom salts. You might have loved it. You can, if you're physically there, you can drop off the Southern habit of dropping off a casserole if you hear someone sick or someone's stressed. Not a bad idea. The last thing you want to do is cook if you've just lost a loved one. A colleague of mine just got COVID for the first time. And a friend of hers dropped off a giant thing of chicken soup. That's very thoughtful. And you might have felt squishy saying, you know what, I really don't want to cook and I can't afford to order in. And they brought this vat of chicken soup, which is so, I mean, you can think about it, you can make an effort, you can, I don't know, send them something funny, you can just tell them you love them. Sometimes you just, or tell them I'm thinking about you. I have a client who's going through a really hard health thing right now. And I just, very professionally sent him big love and healing. I am not capable of doing anything else. There's literally nothing I can do, but I can tell him that he's in my thoughts. I can send him big love and big healing and tell him we're here for him to support him however he needs. That's all we can do. But I think he's grateful for it, or I think he knows that we're there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a well-placed meme sometimes can be a super healing thing. If it's from the heart, you let people know. I can tell you, I try a couple times a week to kind of mix it up and let the people know that mean the most to me, how much they mean to me. And I'll send a meme, I'll send a text, I might post something, send them a private message, pick up the phone. I try to do that, but I can tell you, for me, what I need a lot of times is just someone to hold space for me, just someone to listen, someone to be available. So as we think about what people can do to help it work better, just listening is often a great thing, because people don't often get heard like they once were. One of my friends this week, she got run off the road. Somebody ran her into a bridge on her bicycle, and holy crap, right? But people, not only did they send her good vibes, they also said, you know what? I'm going to be more careful with people on a bicycle now. I didn't realize that was such a thing. And she's a big bicycle aficionado. Well, not only does that heal her mind a little bit and her heart, but that also hopefully prevents anybody else from getting in that sort of accident. So I think that's another thing we can do, is kind of heal the collective. And sometimes that might heal the individual as well.
Yeah, we certainly need to do both. And what you were talking about a minute ago was, to me, tracking to loneliness. And loneliness is an epidemic right now. You would think in our hyper-connected world that we're feeling connected, but electronic connectedness doesn't always track to feeling physically connected. It just doesn't. And often you can feel more isolated if you drop into compare and despair, which is totally possible. So loneliness has a tangible, trackable effect on our health. They've tracked it to the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And guys are even worse shape than women. They often don't even have a best friend that they can have the emotional conversations with. Why? Because you're a guy and you man up and you power through. Like, our toxic masculinity and what we expect from our men is not, it's not healthy. Yeah. So I don't know if you remember, but before Theresa May, UK's former prime minister, left office, she put a cabinet level position in place for the Minister of Loneliness.
Wow, I don't remember that, but that's incredible. If it's at cabinet level, we definitely see that as an epidemic. So if we think
and the
about
Surgeon General of the U.S. put out some really good frameworks around loneliness as well.
Wow, 15 cigarettes a day. That's almost a pack of cigarettes a day because we're lonely. So let's take some ownership of this, Catherine. How, you talked about kind of overcoming toxic masculinity, and maybe I need to answer this as a guy, but what have you seen your clients do that are moving to be more, I guess, less lonely and more connected?
Well, finding community seems to be on everybody's radar these days, from, people who knit to people who are looking to do video content to people who are into astrology or whatever, like find your people, whatever thing you think is unique to you. I promise you it's not. There's some community either physically near you or online where you can join and get that feeling, oh, somebody else is interested in this, or somebody else is struggling with this issue. We need to connect. That we're still working our way out of that isolation situation, which was even worse for extroverts like you than introverts like me, who just sort of went into our bubble and were kind of jamming with it for a while. But the extroverts really got crushed during that when they couldn't go out and bounce off people. So finding people, being, to your point you made earlier, being seen and being heard and really listening and speaking clearly and listening to the person you're having a conversation with, and not doing this while you're sitting across the lunch table from them. Like we can start managing and like being present. And I think that's going to have a huge payoff.
I agree. Being present is a big one for me, because I don't always have a couple of hours to be with folks, but if I even have a couple moments, the whole present thing is really, really big. Even if it's just a text, instead of multitasking, oh, what else do I say here? No, just be really present. I had a conversation over text with my buddy Todd today, and he was the sole focus of my attention. And I think that's a big help. And I would also add, being vulnerable first is a great way to do that. I like to say, you got to share your shit before you can share your shine. So share your vulnerability, go vulnerable and share that.
Okay, I have this t-shirt. I have shared, I'm not an overshare. I'm a fiercely private person about a bunch of things. Like I curate what I share, but sometimes when I have shared about any depression issues, the outpouring of thank you for people. Once again, we're back to the Elmo thing. Somebody spoke the truth of what we're feeling, and people are like, oh my God, thank you. Yes, I struggle too. I just had trouble putting names to it. I felt like it was only me. It's not only you. Like we can connect around this. And vulnerability was authenticity was Merriam-Webster's word of the year last year. So speaking your truth, being real, not hiding behind your Instagram filter and your shiny, happy life all the time. Yeah, share your joy, share your vacation trip, share your good meals, share your, hanging out with some friends and smiling. Like we need that, but we need the balance. That's one of the things I love so much about you, Phil, is you do share both sides. You share the struggles and you share the goofy pictures of your doggy snouts.
Thank you. Well, the doggy snouts, when we think about that, sometimes we have to look for that. We have to look for the doggy snouts. I can tell you right now, my dog's underneath my feet. I got no doggy snouts, but I think about that and I know that as soon as we're done, I got time to play with my pups. And so something to look forward to is also a great way. If it isn't working right now, understand that maybe it is. Maybe you need to plan a walk, a trip, time with the pup, whatever it is, so that you have something to look forward to, because studies show that the anticipation of something awesome is just as good as something awesome itself.
That's great. I love that. I'm glad you put that in. I'd also add moving your body feels good. Going out for a walk feels good. Let's give your listeners some happiness hacks, because we talked about a lot of people are struggling, but there are ways that you can take control and feel better. One of them is moving your body, and you're like, oh, I don't work out. Go for a walk in the sunshine. Sunshine, being in nature. I live in the middle of the city. There's some green space. There are studies that show that even being in some urban green space for a short amount of time increases happiness. This is under your control. I'm too busy. I call nonsense. Get your ass out of your chair and go for a walk. That is, or dance in your kitchen, do a 30-second dance break. Like we weren't meant to be this static. It's not healthy. And I have a standing desk. You're still static. It didn't solve the problem. Standing for X number of hours, still problematic. Move your body. So that's one. The other thing, you have kids, so you've probably taught them, if you ever catch fire, to stop, drop, and roll, to turn the fire. Like, that was one of the most successful public service campaigns ever. Literally everybody knows that. And on a soul level, like, you would actually remember if you caught fire to stop, drop, and roll. So I like to say that stop, drop, gratitude. If you're like starting to spiral, stop, drop. What am I grateful for? I'm grateful that I have lemon in my water. I'm grateful that I have studio lighting. I'm grateful that my heat's working, like, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, but like, snap out of that spiraling into the thing. Because, the trick is to stay here. Yeah, we're in a bunch of chaos. We're going into the US election cycle. There have been a ton of layoffs. Everybody's like, what the heck is going on? That you can't control, but you can control, like, staying here, right now. I'm warm. I'm talking to a very dear friend. I'm, feeling good. I exercised this morning. I have a great lunch in the fridge. Like, there's stuff that's going on right now. That's just fine. And if you stay here, which is, what you're also trying to do if you have mindfulness or meditation practice, that's what the goal is to get you to remember to be here. So if you're in the deep, dark recesses of what's happened to you, you're potentially in depression. If you're future tripping, you may be in anxiety. But if you're here, even if right here isn't good and you're like, wondering how I'm going to pay the March rent, but you can drop into, like, right here, right now, I'm good. And that can calm your body, get you into better creative thinking, get you into a better attitude. So I'd offer that up to your listeners.
Yeah, listeners. Well, they should be readers. They should be reading a copy of your book. This isn't working. That's for damn sure. But with that, I think the encouragement to be here now, I think, is a big one, Catherine. And I think that's a big reminder for all of us. If we want to be less stressed and we want something to work, focus on what you can control right now. That might not be a lot. Might just be your breathing that you can control. But whatever that is, take control. Box breathing is something the Navy SEALs have used for years. Feel free to Google it. Yep, absolutely. Yep. Google it. Get a copy of the book. Whatever. Box breathing is great. And then, your gratitude. I like to think of 3 things that I'm grateful for. And if there's a person, I like to take a couple extra beats and really think about them. Send some energy their way and really feel that in my heart. Because a lot of times I forget that I have so many people to be grateful for. Sometimes I think I'm all alone. And the great news is that's not the case.
That is not the case. You're one of the most loved men on the interwebs. I always joke. Not really joking. It's kind of true.
Thank you. Thank you. But I think a lot of people have a lot more people than they realize that care about them. So what I would offer as encouragement is find a couple of those people. Put them on your speed dial. First of all, let them know how much they mean to you. And second of all, be there for them. Let them know. As much as I appreciate you, I want you to know I'm here for you as well. And if you need something, I'm happy to hold space for you, to listen. Doesn't have to be all woo-woo, friends. It can be just something as simple as, hey, if you need a buddy to bounce a bad idea off of, let me know. I'm here for you. Whatever it is, you can do something about that. So, Catherine, let's give them one more tip on how they can get started from this isn't working. If they're finding like, oh, crap, I need help.
Okay. The cherry on top, and the thing that is always available to you, even in the middle of what I'm now calling a soup of ack, is joy. Happiness, fuzzy, hard to think, but joy is always here. If you clear off the debris on top, joy is always there. You're stressed out. You're like, oh my God, and a sunbeam comes through and hits your face or hits something and it looks beautiful and you're like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. Or the birds start chirping, or you take this first sip of your coffee in the morning and you're like, oh, love that. If you start looking for the joy is often small. It's not necessarily the big hit, but it's always there, even in the middle of all our human messiness. If you look for joy, you will likely find more happiness.
That's a great reminder, Catherine. And one of the great joys that I encourage people to do, get a copy of This Isn't Working. It's available for yourself on Amazon. It's Catherine Morgan has been with us. Go to point A to point B transitions.com. Get to know Catherine Morgan and find the joy, friends. Find the micro joy, just a little thing that you can do so that it can start working today.